And the former national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Oshiomhole, has been screened by the party for a senatorial seat despite paying 100 million naira for the presidential nomination form and launching his presidential campaign in grand style. Oshiomhole had earlier declared to contest the Edo North Senatorial District. However, in a twist, announced his presidential bid some weeks ago at an elaborate event in Abuja. In his declaration speech, Oshiomhole said he's the best candidate to be Nigeria's next president, having been a labor leader and a governor. He said his government will be for the workers and working people and not the Nigerian elite. But the former governor was screened for Senate with his presidential bid status still unclear.
Abiodun Adeniyi, Associate Professor, as well as a Rice News Analyst, joins us now to take a look at these issues, really. Thank you so much for being here tonight on the program. And, of course, I want to start with the former governor of Edo State and, of course, activist and former governor and former national chairman. Well, he's not the first person who's doing this, because if you remember back in 2018, Bukola Saraki did the same thing, where he purchased the presidential ticket, then eventually, you know, even went for screening for Senate, which we know how that turned out at the end of the day. But some analysts are worried about this, where it's almost like a person's ambition is not clear enough. Do you think we should be seeking a constitutional review to ensure that one person can only be screened just once by a political party during a particular election season?
Well, I think it's something that may not necessarily be constitutional because it's internal to the parties. It's an intra-party affair. Maybe it's something that the parties will have to look out if it is okay, you know, for somebody to be vying for two positions at the same time, you know, irrespective of the person's ability to fund it or to pay the nomination fee. It doesn't have to be constitutional. It's internal to the parties. And if we're looking at it from the point of discipline, you know, how ready are the parties? How ready are they, you know, to enforce some level of discipline, you know, to irrespective of the caliber, you know, or the rating of the politician that is concerned in the circumstance. You know, but that's if we have anything against it anyway. We are in a political atmosphere where all kinds of experimentations are going on, all kinds of permutations are going on, and of course, these politicians are people who are influential within their groups. You know, they just feel that, well, the bid for presidency may not actually come. There might be limitations because there are other contestants with sophisticated pedigrees, you know, vying. I mean, if I don't get this, okay, this one is also okay. It's also there for me to fall back on, you know, irrespective of my qualification for the higher one in the circumstance.
Isn't that taking the chance of others who might not be as powerful? Because most of the time, this is not synonymous even to the 2018 election I mentioned. Because even in the PDP now, there are stories, well, we can confirm to you here that about 3 of the presidential aspirants have actually bought forms for other positions as well. Stopping the chances of others who are not as powerful as they are, if nothing is done.
Are they stopping people's chances? I don't think so. They're just expanding the space of contestation. They're joining the fray. And don't forget what we say in ordinary terms, that the more the merrier. Maybe the more the merrier. Maybe they're just trying to exemplify that within their own circles, within their own political space. But I think it's an internal thing that the parties will probably have to look at it. But again, the parties will also find it very difficult to look. Maybe INEC should, if we want to stop it, maybe we should be talking to INEC, not the parties, because the parties, these politicians are very influential, that they can muzzle their way through the party hierarchy, through the party leadership, and have their way in this respect. Maybe INEC should be the institution that should be looking at it if we consider it, if we consider it problematic. You know, but in the circumstance, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. You know, it's not, we have not seen any evidence that there's a problem with it. You know, because it's been very common. You know, like you rightly said, you cited the case of Saraki, and I remember Rochas Okorocha, senator, did it in 2015 when his son-in-law, you know, was there, and he quickly came. But when he lost to Buhari, he came and took his governorship seat back. So, I mean, it's part of the game that they are playing. If we consider it morally wrong, fine. Maybe we should be talking to INEC, because the parties are going to be too weak, you know, to deal with this, considering the influence that these individuals wield.
Okay, let's look at the scenario where Senator Uzo Kalu is painted. That's about 8 of the presidential aspirants, particularly from the Senate, or 9, you know, are going to
step down for
Lawan and the rest, you know. And sometimes you want to look at it, how sagacious are these politicians when you go pick presidential nomination form and you are now picking governorship or senatorial forms and the rest.
Well,
so is it not some lack of self-belief and confidence?
I think it's part of it's a game, really, Christian. I would rather see it as a game, you know, maybe preparation. We are rather preparing to host trade, you know, to be relevant in the circumstance, in the calculation. And we have to be fair to Senator Kalu too, because he has made it clear right from time that if the party zones the presidential ticket to the Southeast, he will contest. But if they do not zone it to the Southeast, then he's going to make a different decision. And that's what he has done, to say that I'm aligning with my good friend, somebody I believe so much in, that he can lead this country, the president of the Senate. And he's been very consistent in his pronouncement, really, and he has tried to create, you know, a marriage between his pronouncement and his action, you know. Whether or not it's in sync with the expectation of political calculations that the presidency should go to the South is a different ball game. But if you look at Senator Kalu individually, he has been very consistent. He's just actualized what he said he's going to do.
Right, nine aspirants stepping down. Yesterday we had a senator here, and he said, you know, I'm not part of that agreement. But at the end of the day, Borough. But at the end of the day, let's look at the fact that, well, the Senate president, he did join that race almost at the last minute, and some have even described him as the dark horse. But, you know, consensus is a word that keeps coming up, especially looking at how the APC National Convention did go. Do you think the APC will be able to get its house in order and get one consensus candidate ahead of the presidential primaries? Because that's another thing Orji Kalu is alleging that will happen.
Even if they are not able to get it completely, I think they'll be very close to it, because 28 is quite a number, or over 20 aspirants is quite a number that may be difficult to manage. So I see them arriving at some level of consensus. And of course, we are seeing the signs with the pronouncement of distinguished Senator Orji Kalu. So maybe there will be other consensual agreement nearer the convention. But do not forget that there's still a factor that we shouldn't discountenance, and that's a factor of the president himself. You know, he holds an ace, and it's a very powerful influence, you know, on who will emerge at the end of the day. You know, whether or not he will come out brazenly, like we have seen in the past, is a different, it's going to be a different thing. You know, but whoever he chooses, or whoever he prefers, you know, will have a head start over the others. So that's at the ace that we're still waiting and watching. You know, even if, you know, they are not
when the kite of Jonathan was flying, you know, seriously in the air, that he was going to come back and as a consensus candidate.
No,
is that foreclosed?
You know, of course, I see that they've been dead on arrival. He didn't submit his nomination form, and of course, that's very good for him too, because the brand that he has built over the years was going to be eroded, you know, through that intention. You know, if you actually come out, you know, I see him being rubbish, you know, because you cannot predict the political space. It can be very murky, you know. It's not a space that he should come back to, having built himself as a statesman, not just on the Nigeria or on Nigeria, but on the African continent and even globally. You know, that reputation is good enough for him to just live with and enjoy. You know, he has so much to still. He has plenty of things that he can still offer this country without necessarily being a Nigerian, returning as Nigeria's president.
All right. Well, we'll just have to wait and see how things really play out, and if he will eventually emerge as the candidate of the APC. Only time will tell. Abiodun Adeniyi, thank you.
My pleasure.